Hello again, dear students. Welcome to a scientific writing lecture series. This is part number 10. I'm Dr. Pervaiz Ahmad. In these sections, we will have a discussions on word usage and scientific writing. That is, how to use different words and scientific writing. So let's proceed towards today's lecture. Uh, the lecture's today's topic is what are usage in scientific writing. That is how to use different words in the scientific writing. So the following list include some of the troublesome words, term, and expressions most frequently found in experiment station, journal paper, and bulletin manuscript. In reporting and recording the research, try to be as accurate and precise in describing it as and doing it. Avoid the ambiguous and faddish. For the benefit of international readers especially, use standard words and their established meanings. So the first words that we have is above. How can we use the words above and the scientific writing? So you know the what is mean by the above, or how the above words can be used in the manuscript. So first we will try to tell the audience about the usage of the words above in the scientific manuscript. So whenever you see the words above, so it would means the above methods, mentioned above, etc. So often you are referring to something precedings, but not necessarily above. A loose reference, convenient for writers, but not for the readers. Be specific. You know exactly what and where, but your reader have to search. Then we have affect and affect. I mean, these are the two words. Be remember, affect is a verb and mean to influence. Uh, in comparison to that, affect with the first letter E is a verb mean to bring about, and we remember it's a noun. Affect mean results. Uh, then we have phrase all of or both of. So this means just all or both, and we remember it will serve in most instances. Alternate or alternative. Be sure which you mean. And to begin a sentence, you have been told not to do this in grade school, but teachers purpose was to keep you from using fragmentary sentences. Either and or but may be used to begin complete sentences, and both are useful transitions words between related or contrasting statement. Apparently or apparent. It means obviously, clearly, plainly, evident, but also means seemingly or ostensibly, as well as observably. You know the meaning that you intended, but reader may not. Ambiguity results. Use obviously, clearly, seemingly, evidently, observably, etc., as needed to remove the doubt. I mean, whenever you're trying to use a particular word, so you know exactly the exact meaning of that particular word. So try to be sample as possible so that your message can be clearly understood by the readers. Then we have the words appear in affairs, which mean seems. uh, he always appears on the scene but never seems to know what to do. So merely ghost appear but seems harmless. uh, at the present time, at this point in time, I mean, both of the phrase can be used whatever you intend to do. So say at present are now if necessary at all. I mean, instead of these phrase, I mean these are quite difficult by the reader to understand. So you can just say at present are now if necessary at all. I mean, if it is necessary that you should use or you should utilize the meaning of these phrases, so simply you should replace or you should replace these phrases by saying at present or now. Below, see comment above, but to begin a sentence, see and however, by means of, most often just by, uh, if you have the words by means of, so most often just by will serve and save words. If you have this phrase by means of, so you can simply replace this by the words by, and it will give you, it will save a lot of your words. And similarly, if you have but and you want to begin a sentence, so you should utilize and however. uh, this is how you can control your words, or how to make your your manuscript to flow smoothly. Case can be ambiguous, misleading, ludicrous, because of different canotonins. For example, in the case of Scottish whiskey, case also is a frequent founder and padded drawn out sentences. For in this case, tries in this instance. Commas and punctuations. One should also be careful about the commas and punctuations. The trend is toward less punctuations, particularly fewer commas, but that demands careful writing without misplaced or dangling elements. Do not omit commas before the conjunctions in compound sentences. Most journals, but not all, use final commas before end or in series. Check the journals. Compare with, compare with means to examine differences and similarities. Compare to means to represent as similar. So one may conclude that the music of Brahms compared to that of the Beethoven's, but to do that, one must first compare the music of Brahms with that of Beethoven. Comprise. Before misuses, comprise mean to contain, include, or encompasses, not to constitute or compose, and still does, despite two now opposite meaning. Use and meaning now are so confused and mixed that comprise is best avoided altogether. Correlated with related to, although things may be related to one another, things are correlated with one another. Different from, different with, different from, also one thing different from another, although you may differ with your colleagues. Due to, make sure that you don't mean because of. Due is an adjective modifier and must be directly related to a noun, not to a concept or series of ideas gleaned from the rest of the statement. During the course of, in course of, just use during or an. Either, are, either, nor. Apply to no more than two items or categories. Similarly, former and latter refer only to the first and second of only two item or categories, etc. Use at least two items or illustrations before and so forth, or etc. Experience. To experience something is sensory, uh, in a inanimate, unsensing, thing, legs, soils, enzyme, stream bed, form, feel, etc. Do not experience anything. Following, after is more precise if after is the meaning intended. After mean not following the processions. The leader announced that the ceremony was over. Higher or lower, much too often used frequently ambiguously or imprecisely for other words such as greater, lesser, larger, smaller, more, fewer. For example, occurrence of higher concentrations were lower at higher level of the affluent outflow. One interpretation is that greater concentrations were fewer or less frequent as affluent volumes increase, but other also are possible. However, place it more upper within a sentence or major element rather than at the beginning or end, but serves better at the beginning. Hyphening up compound are unit modifiers often needed to clarify what is modifying what. For example, a smaller grain harvest, a harvest of small grain, is different from a small grain harvest because small harvest of all grains, a batch of say 20 or 20 liters container is different from a batch of 10 liter containers, and a man eating fish is very different from a man eating fish. Another two, for brevity, just use two. The full phrase may be used, however, in order to achieve useless pairing. Irregardless, no regardless, but irrespective might do. It should be mentioned, noticed, pointed out, emphasized, etc. Such a preambles often add nothing but words. Just go ahead and say what is to be said. It was found, determined, decided, failed, etc. Are you being evasive? Why not put it frankly and directly? And how about that subjective felt? I mean, instead of using these lengthy phrases, that is, it was found, determined, decided, felt, etc. Why you shouldn't use the word in sample felt? I mean, it will occupy less place, and the meaning will easily be understood by the readers. Lesser, fewer, less refer to quantity, fewer to number. Majority, vast majority, say most will do, uh, as well as well or better. Look up vast. Myself, not a substitute for me. This paper has been reviewed by Dr. Smith and myself, and the report enclosed was prepared by Dr. Jones and myself are incorrect. Me would have been correct in all the instances. Some correct usage of myself. I found the error myself. I myself saw it happen. I'm not myself today. I cannot convince myself. Partly, compare the meaning. I mean, partly is the better, simpler, and more precise word when partly is meant. Percent versus percentage are not the same. Use percent only with a number. Predominant or predominate versus predominant. Predominate is a verb. Predominant is the adjective. As an adverb, predominantly, not predominantly. Prefixes like mid, non, free, pro, re, semi, on, etc. Usually not happen in the US usage except before a proper name, pro, loa, or uh, numerals mid 60s, or when lake up a hyphen makes a word ambiguous or awkward. Uh, free engineer is better hyphen as free engineer, one of the few exception. Principles, they are different. Make sure which you mean prior to, previous to, use before proceedings, or ahead of. There are prior and subsequent events that occur before or after something else, but prior to is the same kind of atrocious use that attempt to substitute subsequent to for after. For after proven, although a proven adjective stuck to prove for the past participle, a proven guilty person must first have been proved guilty in the court, provided or providing. Provided usually followed by that is the conjunction, providing is the participle. Reason why, omit why if reason is used as a noun. The reason is, or the reason is that, that is the reason is the why. Since, since has a time connotations used because or in as much as when either is the intended meaning. Small in size, rectangular in shape, blue in color, tenuous in nature, etc. Redundant. That in which two words that can help when needed to make intended meaning and relationship unmistakable. If the clause can be omitted without leaving the modified noun incomplete, use which and enclose the clause within commas or parentheses. Otherwise, use that. Example, the lawn mower which is broken is in the garage, but the lawn mower that is broken is in the garage. So is the lawn mower that works. To be frequently unnecessary, the difference were found to be significant, varying. Be careful to distinguish from various or differing. In saying that you use varying amount or varying conditions, you are implying individually changing amount or condition rather than selections of various or different ones. Where use when you mean where, but not for which, etc., which is that were who are, etc., often not needed. For the site which is located near AMS, try the site located near AMS or the site near AMS. Rephrasing something can help. Instead of a survey which was conducted in 1974 or a survey conducted in 1974, try a 1974 survey. Be aware of misplaced or dangling modifier in pronouns antecedent problems. The difficulty here is that you, as the author, know exactly to which each has the preferences, even though not explicitly stated. Your reader, however, does not have this advantage, and the result may be confusing, misleading, or funny. Example, using multiple regressions technique, the animals in experiment 1 were, in assessing the damage, the plant exhibited numerous lesions. The spider were inadvertently discovered while deferring a faulty growth chamber. Ambiguous pronoun antecedent. All the sample in lot 2 were discarded when the author found that they were contaminated with alcohol, rendering them unstable and unstable to think clearly. The guideline was submitted to the deans, but they subsequently were ignored. Language issue, summary or conclusions. Be more or less precise. I mean, here we just summarize our conclusions, get the conclusion from the language issue. I mean, most of the issues that are being found while utilizing the language and scientific writing. So, be more or less specific. Avoid clashes like the flag they are all had. Verb has to agree with their subject. Preposition are not words to end sentences with, and does not start a sentence with the conjunctions. It is wrong to ever split in infinitive. Parenthetical remarks, however relevant, are usually unnecessary. Also, never ever use repetitive redundancies. No sentence fragment. No sentence fragment. Contractions are in good style and should be used in formal writing and shouldn't be used in formal writing. uh, do not be redundant. Do not use more word than necessary. One should never generalize. One word sentence, eliminate commas that are not necessary. Never use a big word when a diminutive one would suffice. Kill all the exclamation point. Use word correctly, regardless how others use them. Uh, Understandment is always the absolutely best way to put forth uh, earth-shaking ideas. Use the apostrophe and add proper place and omit it when it isn't needed. Who needs rhetorical questions? Finally, proofread carefully to see if you want any words out. So that's all we have for these lectures. Thanks for watching. In next lectures, we will have a discussions on the technicalities related with the scientific writing or the scientific paper. So stay tuned with that. Till then, bye bye.